Welcome everybody, and Aaron says he's got the roll taken, so we'll go from there. The first order of business is going to be to do the minutes, approve the minutes of the last planning commission. Approve the minutes of the last planning commission.
Someone's mic is not muted, causing a little feedback. Let's see what we got here. Go ahead, Don. See if that's better.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. The July 6, 2020 Planning Commission meeting, and Aaron has done the roll call. So we will start with the minutes of the Planning Commission meeting that was held on June 1, 2020. Take a motion for approval if there's no changes or anything to be made.
Move approval.
All right, we got this support, or we got a motion and support to approve the meeting minutes from June 1, 2020. All those in favor say yes.
Ayers?
Yes.
Mapes?
Yes.
Culling?
Yes.
Durian?
Yes.
Wheeler?
Yes.
Schooley?
Yes.
Pitts?
Yes.
And Richter?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, that passed easy enough. The next order is a public hearing for the PUD preliminary plan. A preliminary plan unit development plan has been submitted by Gemini Capital Management 9 LLC for the property located at 319 East Downey. The number is 2951-344-57700. The procedure for review requires a pre-application conference, a determination of PUD eligibility, a neighborhood meeting, and the introduction of the preliminary PUD plan to the Planning Commission. All these steps have been completed. The next step for the Planning Commission is the public hearing to review the submitted preliminary PUD plan. All these steps have been completed. And with that, I will open it up to Eric, and then we'll go to the public comment.
Yep, thanks, Don. Yeah, I'll give my comments here first through the site plan, and then David Ringel will talk a little bit about the site plan from the public works side of things. And then if Gemini wants to talk about some of the things, I would suggest that also, and then go into questions and comments. As you mentioned, this is for 319 East Superior Street, Downey Street, a preliminary plan unit development. As you mentioned in the opening comments, this is the next step in the 9-step process for the approval of a PUD agreement. The preliminary plan was submitted to the Planning Commission according to the steps at the last meeting in June, and we set the public hearing for today. We were hoping to be live with some folks in real life, but I don't know if it's going to be anytime soon when we get to do that, but I appreciate everybody being here via Zoom. So mainly the PUD that we're looking at here, obviously it's a zoning tool that we use within the City of Alma's zoning ordinance. The parcel we currently have there is zoned R1 single family residential. The PUD is a layer for zoning that goes over top of it, kind of like what we've done with our zoning ordinance dealing with conditional rezonings, but much, much more elaborate, as you see from the 122-page preliminary plan for the PUD. Basically, with the plan that's there, we're looking at density of the structures is the main reason for the PUD. The lot is 3.15 acres. The total of units on the site range in size from 448 square feet to 1,371 square feet. We'll talk about those in a little bit. The applicant is requesting a different density other than one is allowed by current zoning, like we just mentioned. The density should be allowed at the discretion of the Planning Commission and City Commission based on the Master plan surrounding land use and demonstration that the PUD provides quality design with minimal impacts to the surrounding properties. The proposed density is 9% under the maximum density allowed under the ordinance of 14 units per acre, depending on the zoning ordinance, zoning district. The additional density greater than specified may be allowed at the discretion of the Planning Commission based on the determination by the applicant's design excellence in the PUD resulting with material benefit to all the significant portion of the innovative design, producing significant energy efficiency, pedestrian vehicle safety, or long-term aesthetic beauty. The site plan residential units are identified as letters. So if you've all had a chance to take a look at that, like I said, this is just the next step. It's not our final step of all this. It's a large plan, very, very detailed plan. Single family A units, there's 2 of those. Those are 2-story, 3-bedroom, 1,371 square feet, and there's a 2-car garage attached to those at 576 square feet. Duplex B units, there's 12 of those. Those are 1-story, 1-bedrooms, and those are those 448 square foot units. Duplex C units are the ADA units. There's 2 of those. They're 1-story, 1-bedroom, 38 square feet. Duplex D units, there's 8 of those, 2-story, 2-bedroom, 1,000 square feet. Single family E units, there's 6 of those, 1-story, 2-bedroom, 768 square feet, 2-car garage attached at 76 square feet. Single family F units, 2 single-story, 2-bedroom, those are 800 square feet. And duplex G, there's 8 units of those, 2-story, 2-bedroom, 1,088 square feet, 1-car garage is attached, 336 square feet for those. Looking at the lot coverage of structures, the homes, garages, and porches, we have a total of 25,375 square feet. The leasing office and storage units, that building is 2,000 square feet. And then the daycare center that's proposed to look at in phase 2 of this project is 7,135 square feet. So a total structure coverage of the lot of 34,510 square feet. We take that, our lot is 137,214 square feet, and we divide that, that 34,510, we got about 26% lot coverage. Setbacks, this was another reason why we're using the PUD to walk through this project. On Downey Street, B and C units are 15 feet from the property line. The daycare is 11 feet from the property line. Pine Avenue, B, D, and E units are 15 feet from the property line. Along Hastings Streets, A and G units are 15 feet from the property line. Gratiot Avenue, B units on the corner of Downey and Gratiot are 6 feet from the property line. The management office units B, D, and E along that street are 15 feet from the property line. The porches, there's 2 different sizes that we have on the site plan. The porches for units A, B, C, D, and E, those are 8 feet. And for units F and G, those are 7 feet. Parking and trash removal, there are 40 units within the proposed development, as we discussed. The site plan shows 56 on-site surface parking spaces. 6 of these spaces are handicap accessible. There are another 24 spaces within the garages for a total of 80 for on-site parking spaces. Located within less than 250 feet from the leasing office is a municipal parking lot. And underneath our ordinance, we do allow municipal uses of businesses within 500 feet of a municipal lot for those accesses, so that's overflow parking for them. Parking is allowed on street except for the months of November 1st through April 1st between the hours of 2 a.m. and 7 a.m. and within this neighborhood. Trash removal is provided on site with 2 dumpster enclosures to the north and 2 enclosures near the management office and daycare center. The landscape plan provided currently shows 39 new trees around the perimeter and 41 new trees to the interior. The landscape plan design has provided for each unit type in front of the unit and around to each side of the unit. The elevation and aerial renderings have been provided to give a feel for what the development would look like with the structures and plantings all in place. The species of trees and plantings are provided for in the ordinance. The developer can request a species not on the list with the approval of the city forester. A units are shown to have 20 different plantings around the unit. B units are shown to have 22 different types of plantings. C units have 20. The D units have 24. The E units have 13 different plantings. F units have 15, and the G units are showed at 22 different plantings. All these plantings are planned to have sprinkled landscaping. Some additional staff comments beyond that. As a review of the PUD, the pedestrian energy efficiency are factors in consideration. The preliminary plan shows the interconnecting of sidewalks to all units from all units to publicly owned sidewalks. The plan includes the installation of 2 car charging stations and solar panels on the structures to assess with energy costs. David Ringel, the Public Works Director, will talk a little bit here in a second, but the Public Works Director, David Ringel, has provided a memo for review of the preliminary plan from that side of the staff. He and the civil engineer continue to work on the details for the infrastructure for the project. According to the ordinance, public hearing notice is to go out for the property owners within 300 feet of the proposed project. In this case, we sent out letters, notices with letters with explanation of the preliminary PUD to property owners within 500 feet of the proposed project. The total number of letters that were and the notices that were sent was 106. We've received 6 of those back. The letter explained where the PUD, where you could find the plan new development on the city's website. Also, we provided staff's email, phone numbers in case someone didn't have computer access and had any questions or comments. They can call us, email us, sort of things. To date, I've received 2 calls for assistance on how to access the plan online, and then 1 correspondence from Mr. Benitez with questions on the project. I have provided those questions and responses from staff and the developer into the packet. As staff, I really do appreciate Mr. Benitez reaching out with his questions before the meeting, so I really do appreciate that. The plan appears to meet the criteria set forth in the PUD ordinance of the preliminary plan review, and to set up the next step of the process. Just as we go forward, just as a note, included in your packet is the PUD ordinance and the amendment of the possible action recommendations by the Planning Commission, which are sent to the City Commission following this public hearing. At the end of this meeting, the Planning Commission will be able to either approve with changes or conditions, postpone, or deny. But whatever the recommendation and action is for this preliminary plan review, it still gets submitted to the City Commission for their review. So that's my comments, and I will turn it over to David Ringel for Public Works comments.
Thank you, Eric. Good evening, everyone. I'm going to spare you the details of reading my entire memo. It is attached as a record with this site plan review process. So I'll touch on some highlights of my plan review comments. First one is there's 2 proposed drive approaches that are facing east and west. One faces Pine Avenue, one faces, let's see here, I'm sorry, Gratiot Avenue. While the drawings show arrows for directional only, people don't tend to follow those. So I have 2 recommendations. One would be either to widen the drive approaches out, which may cause a problem with the proposed dumpsters as shown, or maybe a simpler approach would be to place 2 do not enter signs or exit only signs, but my notes say do not enter. Place 2 of these at each drive approach so that traffic will not pull from Pine Avenue onto the site, cause any kind of traffic congestions or collisions or anything of that nature. That might be the easiest solution to that issue. There's no proposed site grades that I see on the drawings, so I ask for careful consideration when they do place the drive approaches to make sure that those sidewalk crosswalks, or excuse me, the sidewalk cross slopes have ADA compliance for cross slope angles. So that'll just be something to consider out in the field when they're constructing that, to make sure that we don't make any drive approaches that are not handicap compliant. There are several proposed trees along the city's right-of-ways that I would like to see removed just for traffic ingress and egress coming out of those drive approaches. And I've got those locations noted. It appears that there's a walk approach on the west side of the management office. I'd like to see that removed because that's not a designated pedestrian crosswalk. And these drawings show some proposed, or maybe just show where there's some parking areas along side streets. One's along Hastings, one's along Gratiot. I don't know if the developer's proposing to stripe those, but I do not want to see those striped for parking. Like Eric mentioned, there's seasonal parking restrictions on that from the months from November 1st through April 1st. Now for the water plans as shown, with the plans that are shown on this drawing from a public services standpoint, I've rejected the water proposal that the drawings show right now for the simple fact that at some point in the future, if the developer or if somebody else in the future wants to have those separately billed out for water billing and sanitary billing, it's impossible to do that as shown, and there's no way in the future to ever do that. So as a part of my site plan review, I attached a sketch that would show how to connect curb stops and water locations to each one of these units so that they could be billed out separately to help if there is any need in the future, or to also assess with billing on the developer owner side. The site plans that I see do not show any proposed storm lines or anything of that nature. So if there are any, they'll have to have public services permits to make those storm sewer connections. And more importantly, because of its vicinity to the Pine River, they'll need to follow Gratiot County Drain Commission requirements for any kind of stormwater retention before they can connect to the city's city's storm sewer. And I also put on there that the property owner is responsible for all snow and ice removal from the site within their site confines. The sanitary sewer, as proposed, will be directed from the north to south. Looks like it connects into Downey Street, and there's no issues with that with anything that's shown on the drawings. There'll just be a connection permit with that once they do connect into Downey as proposed. So the erosion permits will be required on the project. And also, because of any future confusions with ownership of that sanitary sewer that is proposed to run north and south down that recently vacated alley, I highly recommend vacating the easement rights the city still maintains on that vacated right-of-way, so along that alley. So we vacate the easement rights, that makes that free and clear, and that should help in the future for any kind of ownership questions that might arise with the project. And there's a full listing of all the public services permits that are attached, as well as acceptable trees that to be planted within the right-of-way that the owner can choose to select from. If there's any questions, I can field them now or in the future, but that's a brief snippet of my comments. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Dave. I guess at this point, what I'll do is open it up for public comment, whether it's planning commissioners or whoever else is logged in, neighbors, property owners in the area. So we'll go from there, and please limit any comments to 5 minutes, and hopefully somebody's got some way to time it. I probably could, but we'll let Aaron handle that. How's that sound?
I can time that for you if you'd like, Don.
All right. With that, I'll open it up to the public. Thank you.
If I could, it's Greg. Question on the Downey Street site in front of the daycare. It appears to show concrete. Is that like a drop-off zone planned for there? And perhaps that's really a question for Ryan, maybe. And I think the daycare is a phase 2 of the project. So I presume that concrete drive-up, if that's what it is part of phase 2 as well, or would that be part of phase 1?
We can't hear you, Ryan. Greg, that is a drive up and drop off area. So we don't get a backlog of people driving into the driveways. That way people can come up, drop their kids off and pick them up. That is part of phase 2 according to the PUD plan.
All right, thank you for answering that.
You want to try it, Ryan? See if you're in.
Go ahead.
This is Marianne Evans-Justin. I spoke with Ryan several months ago about the possibility of shifting the office space and the daycare so that the daycare would be on the corner of Downey and Gratiot instead of Pine and Downey. My concern is safety of the children. I think they'd be safer on the other corner. And that drop-off lane would be a little safer on the Gratiot and Downey sign than on Pine and Downey, although my preference would be to have that more inside the block so that it's not adjacent with the street. I see a lot of safety issues or accidents waiting to happen with the drop-off lane. Those of you who have dropped off or taken children to daycare know that drop-off is more like a 15 to 20 minute time period, so that's not going to eliminate any backup, but it will cause a backup of traffic on the street if it's adjacent to a street.
Marianne, the drop-off area is off the street. It is not in a parking lane. That would be off the street.
I realize that, but it's going to exit onto the street right at the point where people are exiting from the inside of the block, because you've got the alley or driveway, and they'll be exiting that drop-off lane very close to where cars will be coming in and out of the parking lot areas. If it were on the other corner, they have Gratiot traffic, but you've added a whole new lane of traffic with the alley. That's why if the drop-off lane were at the side of the daycare instead of adjacent to the street, I think you would have a safer situation. That's all.
This is David Justin. I guess I'm concerned about the exiting onto Pine Avenue, especially in terms of there's a fair amount of student traffic in the mornings and in the afternoons, and it just looks like a really potential area for traffic issues and pedestrian issues. I guess I'm going back to when we redid the high school parking lot. The city suggested that we eliminate 2 of the driveway ramps to Pine Avenue. So it just seems like it would be, you'd have more control of the traffic if you had it going out onto Downey and Hastings.
Yeah, I agree with David's comments that you're just having an extra street, in essence, pouring into Pine in the morning when all the kids are driving to the school.
Could I get your name and address for the record, sir, if you don't mind?
Yeah, Julio, 529 Gratiot.
Thank you, sir.
Do you need ours, Aaron?
I got you, David.
Okay.
Are we just not able to hear Ryan, Eric?
No.
I can't hear him.
Okay. I just wondered if he had any comments, but
In the connection list, he shows himself as unmuted and showing video, so it's probably an issue with adjusting which mic he's got selected in the program. Which is the little up arrow next to your mute button for your mic that'll usually have select a microphone if you click on it. and it'll show the different microphones connected to your system. You may be connected to the wrong one.
He's calling in right now.
There you go. That's another great alternative.
Just to add to the concern about the location of the daycare, even though there is a driveway there for drop-off and pickup, if you ever drive by the elementary schools in the morning with the younger kids, there's always a backup onto the street because it takes time for the parents to get the kids into car seats, in and out of car seats and so on. So even though there is, even the elementary school on Pine Avenue, even though there is a driveway there for drop-off and pickup, cars are usually backed up onto Pine as they wait their turn to pull into the property.
Hi, this is Michael Stellman. I'm at 614 Pine Avenue, and I just wanted to voice my general support for this plan and this project. I like this much better than the proposal a couple years ago, and I really appreciate the work that Ryan and Gemini has done to try to respond to the neighborhood concerns. Now, that said, I think the comments that people have offered about the access on Pine Avenue, about the safety of children are really valid comments, and I would encourage people to consider them. But in general, I like the way this project fits in the neighborhood, and I like the way that it's consistent with R1 zoning. So thank you.
We can't hear you, Ryan. Sorry.
Try logging out and logging back in. That's the problem I've had with my work meetings.
Is it the daycare is part of phase 2, correct?
That is correct. That is correct. But when you put together the plan, when you're going to go to develop it, it has to be all put together at the one time. So.
Yeah.
Michelle, did Ryan get in by telephone?
No, he hasn't.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I'm watching him on video and he's shaking his head, so that's all I can tell.
Good. He's not making it up on my screen, so thank you.
Okay.
Are there any other comments or anything while we're waiting to see if we can get Ryan online?
Don, I guess I'll just take this opportunity to just remind everybody, this is the preliminary plan. We still have 3 more steps to go through before we get to a final plan. Comments and, concerns that are, heard tonight, we'll work with the developer to see what we can do. We'll take these comments and the plan and obviously send it up to City Commission for their review and comment. And then the developer will have 6 months from that time period to come up with their final plan. And like David Ringel was mentioning, that's the time that we'd be finishing out all the civil engineering and those sorts of things at that time too. So, but once the plan is complete and we sign a development agreement, that is the plan. That's how it has to be built out. The only way for that to change is you start this process all over again and you have to go through it again. So just figure take the time to do that, to mention that again.
I have another question. The B units on Pine Avenue, I don't see, no, the B units on Gratiot, I don't see any walkway from those units to a parking area. Am I just missing it, or it looks to me like the residents of those B units will have to walk all the way around the public sidewalk to get to parking, or through the yard of F or the office space in order to get to the parking lot. Nobody have an answer?
Just waiting to see if we can hear from Ryan.
Yep, I'm getting back up there. I'm, like I said, 122 pages. So.
Mary Ann, this is Greg Mapes. If they were to extend the sidewalk going from the middle of the block, the sidewalk that goes behind the management office, it looks like it'd just be a few more feet extension that would connect onto the Gratiot Street sidewalk and give them a path around that direction.
That's a possibility. I would just hope it would not become a footpath and will be a planned sidewalk.
Yes, yeah, it would.
A little bit of concrete added there would take care of it.
Yep.
Good point, though. And I assume, Eric, you're going to add that to the list of recommendations?
Yep.
Thank you.
So we got any other comments yet?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes.
Sorry about all that.
you're on.
Yeah, sorry. So to answer Mary Ann's question about the units, it looks like there is not a sidewalk there, and we will make notes to have one put in so that they can connect to the parking area. In regards to the question that Greg asked about the drop-off for the daycare, that is currently a phase 2 part of the project, and I'm not even certain that the daycare will even go forward, but it is interior to the site, not on a street. And then in regards to Mr. Justin's comment about Pine Avenue exit, our intention is to at least have a right turn only out of there so that you can only go right onto Pine Avenue. That would at least eliminate some of the problems that could be from traffic congestion.
Well, that sounds like a good idea, right turn only. It does. So.
Yeah, that was our plan. And I guess, and then to Mr. Ringo's point, we did plan to put do not enter signs there with arrows as well. And all of his issues that he's identified, we are working on with our architects currently so that when we come for final plan review, that those issues are addressed properly.
I guess I'd just comment that while having the right turn would it help solve some of the issues for traffic, the pedestrian issue, especially if it's a wider opening, that's still a concern.
Yeah, we understand that it is a concern, but we feel that we've reduced the concern greatly by not putting any drive approaches on any of the streets other than the ones shown. I mean, we could have built garages and sidewalks and driveways to each unit off of the street if we wanted, but instead we tried to put everything internal and just have a couple enter and exits on each side of the property.
There's one question I had for the stormwater detention. I don't really see a specific area right now. I'm not sure if I missed it before. My name's Steve at 726 Gratiot Avenue. Was it going to be like in the parking lots, or if there's an actual grass area where that's going to be?
Our intention is to put it in the grass area just east of the management office. You'll see that there's a big square area surrounded by 7 trees there, and it will be underground and connected to the city's system through a permit through the Gratiot County Drain Commission and following all their regulations as well.
All right, that sounds good. I just didn't see it specifically on there.
It's not on this plan. It's going to be on the phase, the final site plan that we submit here in a few months.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
It was just stated that, or it's been mentioned a few times that the daycare is phase 2, and then it was just mentioned that the daycare may not happen at all. So assuming there is no daycare, what will happen to that corner of the property?
At this time, I don't have any set plans. I've been approached by 3 or 4 different potential daycare tenants, and neither of them or none of them have the wherewithal at this point to move forward. So for now, it's just undeveloped land. If we wanted to do something in the future, whether it be commercial or residential, we would have to go through this entire process again. So everyone would have the opportunity to comment on it at least 9 times throughout the process, like we're doing now. So for now, we're just going to leave it the way it is as vacant land.
Hey, Eric, how long would he have to do that phase 2 if he's going to do the daycare? I mean, the way this is set up, is this something if he decides he doesn't want to build it, he doesn't have to, even though that's what's been submitted, or how does that work?
If he's not going to build it, he wouldn't have to. But if he was to go to build it, it would have to be built the way it's set into the PUD plan. So
Okay.
like Ryan is correct. If he decided, if something didn't work out and he had a different idea, we'd have to go back through this whole process again just for that one section of the project.
Okay, that's what I was wondering how that worked. Okay, thank you.
So for my intention right now is when Eric and Mr. Constanzo and I draft and create the PUD agreement, unlikely that I'll even include the daycare in that language at the beginning of this process unless I have a tenant lined up by then, because it's just not worth putting in there unless somebody really wants to move forward.
Well, that makes sense too. That doesn't make a lot of sense to build something and have it leave it set empty. So
right. I had some people approach me and wanted me to include it in my preliminary plans, and so I did so. But if they don't sign a lease within the next few weeks or a month or so, then we won't move. It will likely be eliminated from the final plan when I bring it to the next planning commission.
Okay.
What are the obstacles to the daycare or the hurdles of a potential daycare?
I don't know exactly what their operations are, what problems they're running into in their operations. I'm just planning to lease them a building. So they're telling me that they're not in a position to sign a lease, and that's all the information that I've gotten from them.
Okay, do we have any other questions? Well, hearing none, I will ask for a...
Sorry, I took so long to unmute. I guess for Dave Ringel, did I understand you to say that the sewer access for the whole block would be into the sewer on Downey?
Yes.
How will that impact the people already on that sewer in that block? There's only 3 or 4 homes currently accessing that sewer. You're adding 41 or 42 buildings to that sewer line. What's the impact of that?
There currently is more than 3 or 4 homes that connect to that sewer at Downey. That one at Downey is a collector sewer, so it's taking everything from the west of it. There's a little portion of it on Gratiot that goes about halfway north on the block between Downey and Hastings that it collects as well. And then it makes its way east over along the river, and then it goes along Downey Street onto River Street. River Street was recently upsized, I say recently, about 12 years ago, probably now it's been, with a 24-inch sanitary sewer. So there should be no issues with any kind of sanitary sewer collection from this site.
Thank you.
Yes, good question. Just to speak while I have it unmuted, there's been a few comments about the drive approaches, especially the one on Pine Avenue. I will agree with Ryan Smith's comments and his civil engineer. Anytime that you can reduce the amount of drive approaches onto a street, I view them as conflict points. So with having one drive approach to go out onto Pine Avenue as opposed to, say, for instance, 4 or more based on the amount of units that are there, that is a better idea than having all separate drive approaches there, and funneling them out one direction will do nothing but help that situation as well. But His situation, though, with the one drive approach is a better idea than having separate drive approaches for all of those units on all streets.
Yeah, and that was a comment that came up a few years ago when we were originally looking at the plan. So we revamped it to try to eliminate it. I mean, you can think if you go up and down the neighborhood, how many driveway approaches there are in each city block for each home. You know, there's probably a handful on each side of the road, and we're trying to just get it down to one, like David said.
All right. Any other questions before I ask for a motion to close the public hearing?
I just want to apologize for the microphone technology issues I had. I'm sorry about that. Usually we don't have these problems, but sometimes it happens. So thanks for being patient with me.
No, that's all right, Ryan. I know you've been on before, so it was just a matter of figuring it out.
Yeah.
All right. With that, if there aren't any other questions, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Support.
All right. I have a motion and support to close the public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Ayers?
Yes.
Mapes?
Aye.
Yes.
Culling?
Yes.
Therian?
Yes.
Wheeler?
Yes.
Schooley?
Yes.
Pitts?
Yes.
And Richter?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Sounds like it was unanimous. The public hearing was closed. And with that, Eric, what's the next part here we got to do? I got to get back up to my page here.
Yep. You'll need to make a motion, a recommendation, like we mentioned, either approval with comments and conditions, postpone or denial, and any decision that or motion that's passed, this preliminary plan still goes up to the city commission for their review. So those are the options.
All right. Well, I will leave it up to whoever wants to make the motion, how to word it, how they want to word it. So I'll entertain a motion to, it's your choice to approve or consider.
I move to approve it with Dave's recommendations.
There you go.
Support.
All right, I have a motion with support to approve it with the recommendations from Dave. And with that, any other questions or anything before we vote? All right. All those in favor say yes.
Ayers?
Yes.
Mapes?
Yes.
Culling?
Yes.
Therian?
Yes.
Wheeler?
Yes.
Schooley?
Yes.
Pitts?
Yes.
Richter?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hey Don, just to let everybody know that's online here. The next step is that we will take this motion and all the comments tonight and make that memo and along with the PUD plan, the preliminary here, and give that to City Commission. So that will be on their docket for their review for July 14th.
Sounds good.
That'll be just to give everybody a kind of an idea what's going next.
All right. And anybody else that's online there, you can just remember that City Commission meeting. So, all right. Any new business? Nothing. Wow. All right. Well, we'll take Jim's standard.
I move we adjourn.
All right.
Second.
All right. We got a motion and second to adjourn. And if anybody's got a problem with it, say no now.
Ayers?
Yes.
Mapes?
Yes.
Culling?
Yes.
Therian?
Yeah.
Wheeler?
Yes.
Schooley?
Yes.
Pitts?
Yes.
Richter?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone. I guess that wraps it up till the next one. Hopefully, maybe things might lighten up where we can get face to face soon.